Hi, hi everyone. Julian just sent me a message. He will be joining in a minute, so let's give him some time. And looks like we are mostly remote. We see a few people in the room, and Hari, our secretary, is helping us on site. So I'll let Hari also confirm when we are ready to go. So just bear with us for a few minutes. We'll be starting soon. Thanks, Hari. Yeah, I see Julian joining in.
Hi everyone. Sorry.
Hi, Julian. I think we can start.
Okay, so hello everyone. This is the past competition element walkie group session. First one of the two that you can see reminded here. So as usual, you know the best practices when we are remote attending remotely using Meteco. We should have a couple of people on site, I guess. I don't see so many in the room, but Harry is there. Hi, Harry. Good to see you. So the usual not well, you should be already familiar with them as well. You're supposed to be reading them when you subscribe and register. There are rules related to intellectual property in the IETF, so please make sure you are aware of them and follow the guidelines that are depicted here in the BCPs listed on the slide. Next, please. So, a new situation. We have a meeting using a mix of people attending both remotely and on site. So, more than any other the previous one, make sure in both cases that you follow the guideline, respect the cues, state your name when you're coming to the mic and get the floor. Uh, we'll make sure that Harry is there on site to follow the guidelines. In case you are tuning your video, especially on site, please also try to stay on the square. Uh, Next, please. So the usual URLs. We have not taking happening. So in case you want to join Harry on the not taking stuff, please feel free to connect to the Note IETF page and give a hand to Harry on not taking, especially in case of names when you take the floor or may want to check that what you've been stating on the mic has been properly recorded in the minutes. Next, please. So, as usual, we are human beings, so we respect each other. You should all be familiar with this, living in society. Courtesy is at stake. Thanks. So, as we just said, Harry is working on the minutes from on-site premises. There are usual behaviors using the queue, both on-site and on Metico. And the links to the notes IETF.org is right there, so feel free to join. As usual, keep in mind that most of the IETF work is happening on the mailing list, so make sure that at least you participate to the polls that are happening on the list, both at adoption time and working group last code times. Uh, Taking part into technical discussion is also the way we progress work, so make sure that you dive into it as much as possible. We need people sharing on the mailing list to judge consumptions as chairs as well, so try to make use of the list as much as possible. We know that sometimes things are happening in the background, why not? But try also to make major progress visible on the mailing list. You may also use it to discuss with the working group for side matters like component allocation that could happen early, depending on the level of maturity of implementations. We know many of you already know the stuff, but in case you have not, just ask the chairs, and we're there to help and provide info on trigger processes if necessary. Next, please. So agenda bashing, you see both sessions depicted here. Anyone want to say something about the agendas for today and tomorrow? Okay, we'll take this as everything's fine. Thank you. So working group status. Since the previous IETF that happened fully remotely, we got one new RFC about IETF PSEP flow spec. We have one with the IESG about the binding label in PSEP. There have been some discussed raised by the ADs. Most of the issues are cleared. And I guess the discuss are also cleared in the data tracker right now. So we can hope that this draft will progress and resume to RFC status right far before the next IETF meeting. So it's in good progress. Next. Currently in the working group hands, we have one errata about a bit issue or a wrong wording in the bit description, the flag description used in RFC 8664. The errata is valid, so this is part of the fix that should be handled. We have four draft currently with the within the IANA Heli code part allocation stack for the working group. Three of them were renewed not far ago, and a new one happened at the beginning of the year. So the process is quite simple. In case it's needed for some implementations about new documents, please ask a chair and talk about express the needs. Thanks. So for the working group detailed status and associated working group IDs, I'll leave the floor to Dhruv.
Thank you. Thanks, Julian.
You're welcome.
So let's start with the documents which are in the post working group last call phase. We have first document, which is stateful GMPLS. I'm the shepherd for this document and I have done the review, and we are now waiting for authors to do the rework. And if any authors of any of the document want to come and say something on the mic, please uh, come and use the mic time for this. I see Haumian on the queue. Go ahead, Haumian, if you want to talk about GMPLS.
make the chairs know that I will be updating and as a pen holder. It's on my to-do list. It would be expected to be completed in 1 or 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. The next document is VN Association. Here also, we received some good comments during the working group last call. We are still waiting for the working group last call comments to be handled, after which shepherd review would be done by Hari. So thanks, Hari, for being the shepherd for this document. We also started one thread related use of ASCII in PSEP. So please participate in that thread. Let us know your inputs, and then chairs would be collecting that input and taking the next step based on the feedback that we receive from the working group. So please do that. Haumian, any comments on association? I think you are the editor for this one as well.
Right after the previous one.
Okay, thank you. Your queues are full. Okay, thanks. Uh, Next, we have PSIP Young. I am the editor for this one. So first, let me give the update. So we posted a new version in January. The major changes were, one comment was with respect to use of IP address no zone. So that change has been made. We had a request to add a RPC to reset all the PSEP statistics. So that is done as well. So thanks for comments from Tom Petch and Robert Verga on this. And Julian has also made a request for the Yang Doctor review. So once we have the Yang Doctor review, we will handle that. And then I think this document is nearing working group last call. All our dependencies are also nearing working group last call. So we don't have any pending dependency as such. So hopefully this document also we should be processing soon. Note that we had an early Yang Doctor review, but that was for much older version. So it made sense to request Yang Doctor review again, much nearer to the working group last call. If anybody has any questions on this document, please let us know. Okay, otherwise I'll continue. Okay, so some other documents that are nearing working group last call. We have local protection enforcement. This is on the agenda as the next document, so I will not talk about it. Let's use the agenda time to discuss that. We have SRV6 document. An update was made, and one error which we talked about, errata with fbit, that error existed in this document as well, and it has been fixed. We had some comments in binding SID related to SID structure. So those were applicable to this document as well. And authors have updated the SID structure description, added, also handled one comment with respect to how to do the optional fields in SRV6 ERO. So how should we maintain the order of the various different optional fields in SRV6 ERO? So one section has been added. So please review this new changes that have been done. And then the binding SID actually has a normative reference to this document. So binding SID will be in a misref state until this document we send to the ISG and the RFC editor. So I think we should prioritize moving this work. So everybody in the working group kindly review this document so that we can progress it out of the working group soon. Any comments on SRV6? Okay. More documents. We have PSEP native IP extension. Here we have authors made two updates. This has been presented in the IDR interim as well. Authors asked for request for comments on the IDR list as well, where Sue had commented and authors have made an update of this document as well. So I think we would be, when we do working group last call, we will be doing a cross posting in both IDR list and PC list. And this document is also nearing a working group last call state. Aijun, if you want to add something, please feel free to use the time. Otherwise, I'll continue. Okay. Next, we have FlexGrid. Here, we haven't had many technical changes for a long time. I wanted to check with the authors, are there any pending issues? Can we consider this document also to be ready? And if there is any other review steps that can be done to get more eyes on this document. Okay, let's move on. This document we discussed last time as well, enhanced errors. We have had no change, and but we are in a limbo here. Like last time we thought that we'll ask the working group to get feedback on what do we do with this document, and some of the options are listed here. Like, should we make this work experimental and try to commit some reviewers and publish it now? Should we wait for some implementations to actually implement this? The issue is that we have this feature, but this feature is not currently being used by any of the document. And one document that we kind of think which can use this is the stateful interdomain document. So I hope like the authors of stateful interdomain and authors of this document can work together and give some feedback to the chairs on what should be the next step with respect to this document. So we are still looking for that feedback, and we are especially looking for feedback from stateful interdomain authors and other people in the working group as well on what do they think should be the next step for this document. So the window is still open. Please let us know if you have any comments now or on the mailing list. Okay, so some other documents that we have is SR path segment. There hasn't been no big technical change. The work is aligned to changes that were made in the binding set recently. There doesn't seem to be any open issues, but I wanted to recheck from authors and others in the working group if they have any concern with the path segment work that is happening in PSEP. And the related work in Spring is also making progress. So I think it will be time for us in PSEP also to align that work and move it out. So if anybody has any concerns or authors have any update, please let us know. Similarly, we have SR bidirectional path. The work seems to be stable. We are asking, are there any open issues? Is there anything that is pending in this work? Otherwise, we will also start considering these items as almost ready for last call. So please let us know. Next, we have a document related to SR policy. There hasn't been an update since the last IETF. Authors, are there any pending issues? Anything, please use the list, discuss, and make sure that the work is aligned to Spring and IDR work that is also happening. With respect to PCC SR, we had one update. It was a minor update, and I think the work is looking for more reviews and more eyes on these documents. So, working group, we have a lot of working group adopted documents, and we are requesting the working group to do more reviews, give us comments, so that we can progress this documents as a part of normal working group process. We have stateful interdomain. The stateful interdomain, my question to the authors is the part that we just discussed regarding enhanced errors. If the features of enhanced errors can be used in stateful interdomain, that would be a good entry point and a feedback from the working group on how to progress both the documents together. We have document related to extended flags in LSP. I think this work is important because other documents are assigning flags as a part of this LSP extended flag TLV, and we should progress this document out of the working group soon since we have other dependencies on this. We have multipath document. This document had a big revision this time. They added a reverse path information as a part of iFlag. They also added text related to use of path ID 0 and marking it as reserved for the absence of path ID. And there are also some comments from IETF 112 with respect to text related to SR bidirectional association. So there is some pending comments as well. So I request authors to handle it and maybe discuss these changes that they have made recently on the mailing list so that more eyes are put on this document. The state sync document, there was no update this time, so I will skip over it. We have optional fields, optional objects, marking some of the PCEP objects as optional. That work also has no recent update, but the document handled the working group adoption comments, and there are no pending comments as of now. So people who have feedback, please use the mailing list for this. And for SR P2MP policy, since we have adopted that work, there have not been any update. So are there comments? There is changes that are happening in other working groups related to this work. So we need to make sure that the alignment is also maintained between PIM, Spring, IDR, etc. related to this work. And recent adopted documents, these were just adopted between the last IETF and now. We have L2 flow spec. This was the work that was taken out from the PCEP flow spec so that it can be progressed. And all the changes related to RFC 9168 and the IDR flow spec V2 work, those alignment has been done and the authors have posted an update. So thanks for that. We have SID algo. This was adopted. There were comments during working group adoption, but they are currently pending. So request authors to handle this comment as well. And that will bring me to my last slide, which is our working group adoption queue. This has been updated in our wiki, so please have a look. This is the current order that we would be using for the recent adoption. So next on queue would be the path MTU. We have SRv6 Yang, IFIT, which is actually on the agenda today as well, and then PCCC SRv6 work as well. And if authors have, they feel that their document is also ready for adoption, please send a note to the chairs and we will discuss and update our queues accordingly. So I now would request anybody who has any comments on any of our working group adopted work, use this time. If they want to discuss something, please use it. Otherwise, we will go back to the main agenda from now. I don't see anyone in the queue. Okay, so let's get on with our agenda. And the first presentation we have is from Andrew.
Hello, everyone. Assuming you can hear me okay?
Yes, Andrew.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. I'll be just giving a status update on local protection enforcement on behalf of, well, the other co-authors as well. Next slide, please. So this basically just summarizes really what this document is all about. The main two things are really that there's wording and statements around the usage of the existing local protection bit. This was really driven because of interop misinterpretations on how local protection should actually be enforced. And so a lot of the text is really trying to be, generally backwards compatible while actually clearing up those misinterpretations. In addition to this, there's a new flag that actually opens up new capabilities that are used for actually enforcing that local protection. So that way we get the ability to, strictly control whether or not local protection is actually needed, required, must be done, or not relevant. So you can see in the diagram there that it's really just a new bit that's associated with the LSP attributes. Next slide, please. So the current status is, well, 0.0 was uploaded in 2019. It's been presented here to the PC working group a couple times. As was mentioned earlier, it was adopted in 2020. The code point allowed implementation to move forward with it, and that code point has now been reallocated. So naturally or renewed rather. So now naturally the concern is making sure that, the document can progress before that early code point actually expires again. The draft is pretty much stable, in terms of the technical goals that it's trying to achieve, the actual use cases, the descriptions. So really, we're just kind of seeking, moving towards working group last call. So that way we can kind of wrap this up a little bit. Next slide, please. But naturally, before doing that, I went back and looked at that note to see if there was anything outstanding. And there was really just some kind of open comments about, generalizing the conflict of enforcement. So that EBIT flag, should that be generalized for all objects in BSEP or all attributes in BSEP? And again, these are just kind of generalized comments. So I'm just trying to address it here in the group, and actually we can take this to the list. So the main question I think is this actually required by this document? Or is it safe and okay to, proceed with that new EBIT flag being defined as it is in the document? So as a reminder to that, there is the PC optional document, which covers generalizing object enforcement. In this case, these are attribute flags, so it doesn't get covered by that document. So there was an idea proposed on the list to basically, move object flags into the TLV and follow a similar pattern that RFC 5420 was doing. But it was also an open suggestion. And so at the current moment, we basically see that doesn't really seem necessary at this time, just because we do have bits available. Naturally, it would be good for the group to, progress in that direction. But I'm basically raising this topic up, just, get consensus on whether or not we think it's perfectly fine to just use the EBIT as it is, or if this is like a must, move in this kind of direction. So again, seeking just some kind of consensus on that. And next slide, please. And that's everything I've got. So looking forward to any comments or clarification really on this kind of slide. Thanks.
Yes, thanks, Andrew. Are there any questions? Please use the Meet Echo queue for both on-site and, of course, the online folks, and we'll be following the Meet Echo queue. So just my personal opinion, and without any hats, I would think that, what you are proposing seems to be rational. Is we can keep this work as a separate entity, and if there is a need for doing this thing for flags, maybe that can be handled as a part of PCE optional, because that document is anyway focusing on how to do this optional work for objects. And if there is a need to do that per flag and there is some suggestion for it, maybe we can handle that in optional document. And anyway, we are a volunteer driven organization. So the people who had that comment and they have a proposal on hand, maybe they can provide that as input to PC optional. And since PC optional is now an adopted work, it can be updated as a part of normal working group process. So there is nothing that is blocking this to be handled within the working group, but as well. So if anybody has any thoughts on this, comments, if I remember correctly, it was Pawan who had this comment. So he can also confirm now or on the mailing list whether he likes this approach or not. Oh, I see him in the queue. Pawan, go ahead.
Yeah, it was me who made that comment. I still would like to see a generalized approach for this, but yeah, I mean, I haven't put that said. I haven't contributed any text or published a new draft part discussing this, so I'm good with whatever is currently being done. But yeah, but uh, uh, I would like to see a general way of enforcing this.
But Pawan, can I ask one question? Is it okay if that is handled outside of this document?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, for
Okay.
now. I mean, you're saying you will list for just for this particular flag, we'll have this additional. There'll be an additional enforcement flag, but for any other attribute, if you want to enforce it, yeah, I mean, we can consider that as part of the PC operational thing. Document.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Thanks. Andrew, go ahead.
So just want to say thanks. And yeah, it does sound reasonable to, embed this into the optional document, just because it's really about, do you actually respect these attributes or these flags? And the optional just seems like the natural place to put it. So that seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, thanks.
Boris, sorry, I missed you, so please go ahead.
Yeah, I very short question. Draft says about implementations for both Nokia and Cisco. Are these engineering versions or general ones?
I could speak on Nokia's behalf. Currently, they're engineering modes.
While you were presenting, I saw one more thing, like, maybe we need to do a little bit more language check. One thing which I found maybe not the best, the use of the term must constrain and may constrain. I'm not sure that would be the best way to describe a mandatory field and optional fields. Like, whether we could use the word must constrained as a term. So maybe we can find out what is the best description of this flag as well. I think as an implementers, you and I understand what that means, but is that the best way to frame this? That's something also worth looking at.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I guess try to see if there's a way maybe to extend on that. Really can explain it a little bit better.
Perfect.
Um,
Thank you.
so I guess so if that was, I guess the last comment that would be kind of need to be addressed. Does the group think that we can probably move towards working group last call over the next year or so?
I think we should respect especially the renew, uh, like the deadline that we have in mind with respect to the INA early code point. So we should definitely aim for getting this document working group last call accordingly. And I will discuss this with Julian and prioritize this accordingly once you have updated the last set of comments.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I don't see anybody else in the queue, so let's. Ansham, you are next. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello everyone, this is Chuan from CT. My presentation today is the PSAP extension for SRMPL's entropy label position. Next slide, please. This draft has been presented for 3 times, and we got many comments from mailing list and the meetings. They are appreciated from Stephen, Drew, Tarek, Jumping, Jeff, and Tom. Thank you very much. We made updates before version 7. For example, we moved debit to LSP extended flags, and we made clarification for the MSD and the ERLD limitation and the requirements in PC and interdomain scenario. We've also made a clarification for ingress capability, and the EBIT is used to indicate the capability over inserting multiple EL-IEL pairs at PCC and support the SR pass with ELP from PC at the same time. And so finally, we made clarification for the EL positions calculated for SR pass. So this time we made updates at the version 7. First, we made clarification for PC to get MSB and ERLD capabilities, and adding reference to existing underlying IGP extensions, including EasyS and OSF. And this comments from Jeff, and we also made clarification, and we removed the minimum ERLD TRV because this is not necessary. Finally, we made synchronized update and keep in consistent with the extension of BGP protocol. So last. So let's do the recap of the background. RFC 8662 proposes to apply the entropy label to SRMPS networks and provide the uh, criteria to determine the best ELIEL's placement. In RFC 8662, the ingress may not find the minimum ERLD unknown path and does not support the computation of the minimum ERLD. So controller, for example, the PC may perform the end-to-end path computation as well as the entropy label position, including the label and the place. We can we propose the PSAP extensions to compute the parts, especially in inter-domain scenarios with the EL's number and place. Last slide, please. So we propose some PSAP extensions. First of all, the PC could get the information such as MSD and the ELRLD through IGP and compute the minimum ERLD along the end-to-end path. First, for example, the ERLD value can be collected via EASIS and OSPF. The MSD value also can be collected via RFC 8491 and OSPF RFC 8476. Then we also propose the EBIT to set to 1 in SRPC capability in open object. When the EBIT set to 1, it indicates it supports the SR path computation with ERP configuration. Also, it also indicates that it supports the capability of inserting multiple EL pairs at PCC. Next slide, please. We also propose the EBIT in LSP extended flag TLV in LSP object to indicate the PCC requests PC to compute the SR path with ELP information. Finally, we add EBIT to set 1 to in SR ERO sublet object to indicate the position after the SR ERO subobject is the position to insert the pairs. Otherwise, it cannot insert pairs after the segment. Next slide, please. So this document has been discussed many times in details at the meetings and on the mailing list, and all comments has been resolved. Thanks for your comments and suggestion. And the according PGB extension, the draft IDR BGP SRMPS ELP, the draft has been in adoption queue, and so this document has made according updates and being in accordance with the BGP extensions. So I think it's ready for adoption. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I don't see any questions. Thanks for updating the documents and handling all the comments that you have received. So the last set of comments, as you said, was related to removing the minimum ERLD TLV. And after that, there are no other open comments from. Sorry, I got a little feedback. So let me say that again. Are there any other open issues from previous meetings or mailing list?
No, as I know, as far as I know, this draft has no comments.
Thank you. Julian and I will discuss and will update the wiki accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhruv.
Okay, so let's move on to the last presentation for today. Giuseppe? Yeah, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Hello, everybody. This is an update about the document on PSEP extensions for IC. I'm presenting on behalf of co-authors. So next slide. Just a few words about background and motivation. So IFEED refers to both in situ IAM and alternate marking. The base draft about the methodology are quite stable, so you can see the reference documents. Yeah, we all know that the PSEP extension can be used to, of course, to signal, in this case, the IFIT capabilities. These allow to have the IFIT methods automatically activated and running. The draft proposed to define the IFIT attributes and to be generalized as TLV in the LSTA object. And the draft is general, so it means that it can be applied for all part types as long as they support the data plane method. Next slide. The first extension that is proposed is the IFIT capability TLV. That is an optional TLV to be used in the open object. There are 5 flags defined within the draft. So 4 are for the IOM different option type, so pre-allocated trace option type, incremental trace option type, direct export option type, and end-to-end option type. And the last flag is for the alternate marking. Next slide. Then we also define the IFIT attributes TLV that provides the configurable knobs for the IFIT feature. And it is general and it includes different sub-TLVs for the LSTA object. In the next slide, we can see the 5 sub-TLVs that we propose. Of course, these IFIT TLVs are optional and can be taken into account by the PCE or by the PCC. Next slide. Yeah, you can see there the 5 sub-TLVs that can be included in the IFIT attributes TLV. 4 are for IOM feature and 1 is for alternate marking. Next slide. Yeah, in this slide, we just summarize the latest changes after IETF 112. We revised the IANA consideration part, and we added different subsection for the PSEP TLV type, IFIT capability TLV flags, and IFIT attribute sub-TLV. In addition, we added a new subsection for enhanced alternate marking sub-TLV flags, and also a new subsection for PSEP error code, just to keep the structure in line with other PCE documents. Next slide. Okay, yeah, well, we consider this document relevant to enable IFIT for control mechanisms. It's worth mentioning that since IFIT methods are becoming mature for IPv6, SRMPLS, and SRv6, this draft also complements the segment routing policy CP draft to enable lesser policy with native IFIT. Of course, we ask for working group adoption. We address the latest comments and all the inputs received during the last IETF meeting. So, of course, questions and comments are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Any comments for Giuseppe on IFIT? So here also, let me confirm that all the pending comments that you have received are resolved.
Okay. Yeah, we applied all the comments that we have received during the last report.
Thank you. So I think this document is already in our working group adoption queue, which you saw in my slides. and we would putting this up after I think 2 more documents are in the queue, and then we will do IFIT.
Okay.
And
Okay.
please keep the document aligned with the other work that is happening in other working group, because I think you have IFIT work in IPPM and also proposal in IDR. So just make sure that the documents are aligned from the start rather than doing that at the end of the process.
Sure, sure. I will double check with IDR document, of course. Thank you for it.
Are there any other comments? We have some time, so if anybody has any other document from working group document that they would like to discuss, any other comment, we can use that time. Otherwise, we'll give you 15 minutes of your life back. Julian, any parting thoughts?
Nothing special. Thanks for participating today, and talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, folks, take care. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying Vienna, and be safe. Bye.
Bye, everyone.